Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Belle again. So today, we're going to talk about a question from one of you about foreign policy and expanding the table analogy a little bit. We got a question about how Russia gets framed in the media and whether or not it plays directly into the way they want to be seen. Adding a little bit of imagery to a long-running analogy on the channel might help explain why things sometimes get framed the way they do. Here's the question. Why is it that whenever the West does something, the narrative is that Russia will react to it, escalate, full stop? Are none of the West's decisions reactions themselves? Why is it that these discussions always seem to me to be from the stance of that Russia is never acting, only reacting? Is that not Russia's own propaganda dictating how we discuss these things? So first, let's take a look at how and why Russia is seen as reacting, and whether that's always the case. Now, domestically, inside of Russia, sure, that's always how everything gets framed. That's also true for most countries. The governments of various nations around the world tend to frame things as them reacting to an outside stimulus, and they act like they had no role in any preceding events. At the beginning of the most recent escalation in the war, Russia wasn't framed as reacting. It was an elective war they chose to pursue when they invaded. Sure, you had some people try to draw back to other events and justify it, but there weren't a lot of those people. Overall, Russia was seen as acting and the West reacting. As the war grinded on, it changed and Russia was portrayed and seen as reacting to Western moves. The question is why? Because Russia lost the initiative on the foreign policy side of the war. When people talk about wars, they look at the fighting. They don't look at the big picture. Picture it as a football game. Most coverage is about an individual play. Some coverage is about the whole game. But there isn't a lot about the season. When diplomats and foreign policy people talk about the conflict, they're talking about the season. Sometimes that seems disconnected from what is seen in the individual plays. On the channel, it's often been said that Russia already lost the war in the wider context. No matter what happens, they won't have a winning season. They won't emerge better off than they were before the war. Russia lost the initiative on the foreign policy scene right around the time the West figured out workarounds to the energy leverage Russia had over Europe. Initiative is loosely defined as a situation in which one belligerent holds and presses an advantage against the other. Whoever can do that has the initiative. The West holds the initiative right now on the foreign policy scene. So Russia is always seen as reacting, because they are. Because it's just the current state of play. Western diplomats pressing the advantage. Talk about how Russia will react. Now, why is Russia given so much consideration when it comes to escalation? Because they're a nuclear power. It's one of those things that's so obvious that it gets forgotten about. The longtime analogy on the channel is that foreign policy is the international poker game where everybody is cheating. The easy expansion of this to explain how things change with a nuclear power is that player countries with nuclear weapons are sitting at the table with a derringer up their sleeve. Sure, it's a game where everybody is cheating, but you're much less likely to cheat, or at least more careful, when you know the person sitting across from you can take the game to a different level very quickly. There's more consideration of how they will react, so it gets discussed more. The odds of it going to that level are slim. In fact, most experts suggest that Russia's first move before going nuclear would be to engage in a nuclear test first. Consider it showing everybody what's up your sleeve. Even though it's unlikely, it's still something that gets considered because of the incredibly high stakes of being wrong at that level. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.